Being a Christian woman and walking in God's calling for our lives can be a difficult task. With the world and pop culture telling us to be one way, and the Bible saying another, you kind of end up feeling like an other. Well, you're not alone. Join me now and my friends as we navigate life in our 20s and 30s, while making sure we live out our faith, embrace our femininity, and looking cute. We discuss pop culture, life, careers, relationships, and so much more. Prepare to be entertained and educated. I know you're going to love it. Join our movement and embrace being another girl. The views expressed on this podcast are our own and do not reflect our employers. Enjoy. Hello, you're listening to Those Are the Girls in Unprecedented Times. Okay, welcome to the podcast. This is Those Are the Girls with Mallory and Friends, and I am Mal. I honestly didn't really have the time this week to do an episode, and a lot's going on in my personal life, but I could not pass up because so much is going on in, like, we're living in unprecedented times. Every Sunday, Saturday, every weekend, the past, 3 weekends, something has happened. I mean, life is moving fast, and I was like, you know what, let me get this out, because by the time, if I do one next weekend, or if I do an episode next week, then it'll probably, the information will be old, because things are moving at fast pace. Ding, 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 ding. This thing. So I was like, you know what, this is, I should say something. Plus, I have a lot of thoughts, and I need to get them out. So here we go. Thank you so much for listening. If you are listening because you enjoy hearing me rant, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I greatly appreciate that, actually, because I don't mind talking into a void. I've been doing that my entire life, really. Just yapping to yap. But I appreciate you listening, and if you want to interact with me, you can follow the podcast Instagram page. Those Are the Girls podcast on Instagram. The reason why I said it's so weird, because I was like, is that the Instagram? But yes, it's Those Are the Girls podcast on Instagram, and then interact on Spotify now you can, like, ask questions, you can leave comments on the episode, so you can interact with me on the episode. So if you have any comments or anything you want to add, please do so. You can also email me, thosearethegirls@gmail.com. A lot to discuss, and my goal is really not to spend 2 hours discussing these things. I actually have copious notes. Let's see here. Copious notes. And I want to go bang, 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 bang to get through everything. Like I said, we're living in unprecedented times. So many things have happened back to back to back. And I kind of just want to talk through them and maybe even give it some encouragement. There's a lot of, like, conspiracy theories that are going on, and I know a lot of people are kind of checking out because some things seem to be getting a little dark, and people don't want to be around that, which I get. I don't blame you. So I want to keep it fun, fresh, and light, but also speaking truth and grace and love. So that is my goal. I'm hoping to stay fun, fresh, light, positive in what we're talking about, because at the end of the day, like, we survived 4 years, the last 4 years, and we survived the 4 years before that. So we can do it again, and we'll persevere either way. And no matter what, God is in control. So there's that. All right. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, welcome. I talk about a bajillion things. I was even going to talk about, it's been a year since Barbie. I was going to add that to this episode, then I was like, no, let me just, like, make that separate. If you don't want to hear politics, keep listening. I think you might find my perspective different and refreshing. Maybe, I don't know, we'll see. And then if you don't want to hear politics, then there's also the Barbie episode. I'm going to do, like, a quick little something, my thoughts on, like, a year after Barbie. But that'll be another episode, not this episode. Anyway, okay, so let me just go ahead and get started. It's been 3 minutes of me just kind of rambling. So the topics we're going to be talking about is the RNC. We just had the RNC last week. Just an update on what's going on with the attempted assassination of former President Trump. Biden's out, Kamala's in, and then moving forward, some thoughts on that. So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about. So get ready. Here we go. Okay, so first thing, I want to talk about like what the RNC is. Actually, I had a couple people ask me what the RNC was. So the RNC stands for the Republican National Convention, and really what they do is this is where the delegates come to actually vote for the candidate that will be running under the Republican Party. This is a convention. A lot of things happen. There's a lot of speakers. You guys probably saw speakers. There's performers. There are different like meetups for different interest groups. There is a time where you vote. Well, you're supposed to vote in the party platform and all this other stuff. And that is what the RNC was. So essentially, this was a time for Republican delegates from all over the country. And how you become a delegate really is it's the same but a little different. So for each state. So I would say if you're interested in ever becoming a delegate, the first thing you need to do is start getting involved in your local party. And everybody, like, they want you in your local party, especially if you live in a blue state or a blue county. Like, get involved. It doesn't mean you have to necessarily run for office, but what I mean is, for example, get involved with your local GOP. So that's how you start. We can get into all that. We will probably get into that in another series that's coming up for those of the girls soon. But this is where all of that is. The delegates come and they vote in the president. They vote in, not the president, they vote for the person who will be running for president. So the DNC is going to happen August 19th. That is less than a month from now, which is why everything's so wild and crazy, but we'll get to that. We'll be talking about that too, don't you worry. So at the RNC, they introduced a new platform. They changed up the platform now that Trump's daughter-in-law, Laura Trump, has been appointed head of the RNC. She brought in the platform that they adopted, the platform that Trump used for his campaign. Now, the party's platform and the person running for president under that party, their platforms don't have to be the same. As a matter of fact, most times there's going to be a slight difference. Typically, you don't adopt the candidate's platform. This was something unusual, and I'll leave it at that. Let me read to you what the current GOP platform is. From GOP, the Instagram. So it's 20 points. Seal the border and stop the migration invasion. Carry out the largest deportation operation in American history. End inflation and make America affordable again. Make America the dominant energy producer in the world by far. Stop outsourcing and turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower. Large tax cuts for workers and no tax on tips. Defend our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the right to bear arms. Prevent World War III. Restore peace in Europe and the Middle East. End the weaponization of government against the American people. Stop the migrant crime epidemic. Demolish the foreign drug cartels. Crush gang violence and lock up offenders. Rebuild our cities. Strengthen and modernize our military. Keep the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency. Fight for and protect Social Security and Medicaid from no cuts, including no change to the retirement age. Cancel the electric vehicle mandate and cut costs burdensome. Cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, radical gender ideology, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our children. Keep men out of women's sports. Deport pro-Hamas radicals and make our college campuses safe and patriotic again. Secure our elections, including same-day voting, voter identification, paper ballots, and proof of citizenship. Unite our country by bringing it to a new record level of success. These are, I believe that is the full platform. Let me just confirm that there were a couple noticeable things missing, which, I'll get to in later episodes. Let me just triple check. I am singing terribly to fill the space. because filling the space is what you need to do when you have a podcast, is fill the space with noise. I should have already had this pulled up, but I didn't think about it as I was reading it. I was thinking that possibly there were pieces that were missing. Okay, let me stop now. I'm having a lot of fun with that. Okay, there's someone who posted the whole thing because she is very important in the party that I am friends with. And I'm looking here and I cannot find it, and it's taking too long. Let's just say that is it, because I got that directly from the GOP website. So that's it. These are just some things that I think are important. I hate that I did not already have this pulled up. I apologize. I'm just talking. You can fast forward this if you like. I guess I can also just like cut this out if I really truly want to. If I want to. Okay, yeah. Maybe I'm just gonna cut this out. Let's see here. Because I want, are you sweet invention of a love and dream? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okie doke. Let's see here. Okay, so the cut there was just for me looking to confirm that that was the party platform. The party platform is usually a little different. Two noticeable things that were not mentioned. The family, marriage between one man and one woman, and abortion, notably not in those bullet points. We'll discuss that on a later time. I will link to the party platform so you can see and read for yourself. So that is what happened at the RNC. We had Hulk Hogan tearing his shirt open. We had a woman who was Sikh do a prayer, which has caused a lot of controversy. And I'll ask you guys, do you think that was appropriate, not appropriate to happen at the RNC? She prayed to a God that was not the Christian God. But I will say, like, from doing the research on her, from looking into her, she is an amazing fighter. She's a Republican. She's an amazing fighter for Republican values. But she did do a prayer to a non-Christian God. So what do you guys think about that? That was very controversial. But I will say it fits in line with the new Trump's RNC. So it was congruous to what he wants, the direction he wants the party to go in. Whether that's a good or bad thing, you tell me. Let me know, what do you think about that? That's up to you to decide if you think that's a good or a bad thing. So anyway, that happened. We had Kid Rock sing, rap, rock, whatever he does. If you guys can find it, Melania's face during that is totally my face. Kid, I mean, how old is this man? I get it. There's people who like him, whatever. I said like this is lame or something like that, and two people who were older and the one person who's I think younger than me said they liked him. That's fine. Like, please, they probably don't like my type of music. That's no problem at all. I will bet that a good majority of the voting. No, let me back up. I will bet a good majority of younger populations don't even. I can't name a single Kid Rock song. Let me look really quick. Oh, is he Ice Baby? Is that him? Kid? No, that's Vanilla. So yeah, that shows how much I know. Which, I'm not dogging you. If you like Kid Rock, like, more power to you. Yeah. Don't know a single one of these. I'm looking at his most popular. Don't know a single one of these songs. So, oh yeah, and then there was a part where he like arrested, and it was like, oh, I clutched my pearls. Let me stop, because anyway. It was just not for me. That part was not for me. Hulk Hogan being there, I'm sorry, was funny, silly. Also, not my demographic. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Wasn't very girly pop. I'll leave it at that. That doesn't mean it was bad. It just wasn't very girly pop. If I were to do a convention, I think about that all. Like, gosh, I would do things so differently if I had the money. Anyway, I don't right now, so I'm not going to harp on that. So that was the RNC. That was the update on that. Trump did accept. Oh, the biggest thing, JD Vance. He announced JD Vance is his vice president. Now that's I guess I can. I'll talk about JD. No, I'll say now. I was gonna say that can lead to our next story, but I really want our next story to be something that doesn't really lead into the next story. So, or the next topic. So JD Vance is the new vice president. Now, this is what I think. I think because of the shooting, because we talked about this before, that picture with him with the blood and the American flag, fight, that is tough. That like sealed his, at the time, that I thought he was gonna, like, that's it, like, we're gonna have a conservative administration. Hopefully Project 2025, even though he already said that he's against it, and he called those of us who like it extremists, but that's a whole nother conversation. No, he called it severe or something like that. Anyway, we won. Like, that's what I thought. And that's what he thought. And I think that's why he picked JD Vance. Because the reality is to get more people to vote for you, not to like drum up your base. Your base would already like JD Vance. But for your vice president, you want to pick someone who's going to get people who are already who are going to get like moderates who are going to be on the fence about you. JD Vance is not someone who was on the fence, but he is someone who's loyal. Now, he made the comment that he would not have done what Mike Pence did. He would not have certified the votes, which, we can go back and forth on whether that's legal or not to go against the Constitution. But anyway, now Trump wanted someone loyal. JD Vance is loyal. JD Vance is not someone who's going to bring other people. Like, moderates are not going to like him. The hillbilly allergy thing, I personally had never heard of that. I knew who JD Vance was. I had heard his name thrown around, but I just knew. I was like, that's the last person he'll pick, because that's not going to bring. And the hillbilly allergy and like that belief system is not going to bring in other people, because the reality is, like, some people just can't relate to it. The people who can relate to that are already voting for him. So that wasn't to me, that was not a smart move. But he thought he was going to win. He thought it was in the bag. So why not get the person who's going to be the most loyal? Which I think is JD Vance. I think JD Vance is going to be very, whatever president says, I'm loyal. I will do whatever you say. This is your administration. I'm under you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, captain, my captain. I feel like that's what JD Vance is going to do. So we'll see how that goes. He has wavered his support on abortion, against abortion, I guess. He's said he's pro the abortion pill, so that's disappointing. But once again, we'll talk about all those things in a later episode. But I'm just giving you kind of like the overview of what happened over this past week. So that happened at the RNC. We'll see how that goes. I'm gonna see how it goes. I want him to earn my support. Yes. Okay. So the next thing is a update on what happened with the assassination attempt. First thing I want to say, there's a lot. I mean, so much information about this kid that did it. I'm not going to say his name. I also didn't bother to remember it or write it down. There's so much information about him that everybody is just like there's just so much information, and we live in a day and age where some things you literally cannot confirm. So I would just use my discretion. Even if it's someone you trust that said something, I would still, I don't know, like, there's just so many things I see. Like, I mean, when it first happened, they were sharing pictures of a different guy. I saw pictures of a different guy because everybody wants to be the first to get the information out, and no one's like verifying. Everybody just, especially on Twitter. I mean, Twitter is a hotbed. Even your favorites, because here's the thing now, Twitter, you get money for engagement now. You don't get money so any type of engagement you get money for. So Twitter has become just a hotbed of like people rage baiting and like just a bunch of misinformation and stuff like that. Influencers saying Biden's dead, he's on hospice, and it's like, well, there he is. He just gave an important speech, so you were wrong. So things like that. But, I'm sure they'll also say, like, it's deep fake or something like that. I don't know. Don't care. So anyway, there's a lot of information out there. So I'm not going to sit here and go through, this is a theory, and this is a theory, this is a theory. I'm going to talk about what happened with the Secret Service director. She resigned, which I think is the best choice, because here's best thing she could do, because this wasn't like a little, like a oopsie, like I left the pot boiling and I left the egg in the pot, my boiled egg in the pot, and the egg cracked. It's not one of those situations. That was a terrible analogy. That's something I've done before, though. I forgot that I had a boiled egg, and then all the water's gone, and then it cracked, and then it smells bad. So, that it wasn't something like that. This was serious. This almost cost the president his life, and it cost a man his life, and people were in the hospital. Like, this was serious. This is not, and I go back and forth because it's like, I don't think a one decision should ruin your life, one decision should ruin your career, but it's also kind of like, this is, you can't make mistakes like this. Like, you cannot make mistakes. So let me read to you a little bit about what happened. On Tuesday, she resigned. It was 10 days after the near assassination of former President Donald Trump. She was subpoenaed to testify Monday morning about Secret Service failures before and after the attack, including how agents on the ground and atop the building didn't see or stop him before he opened fire. Video shows numerous rally goers pointing to him as he climbed the roof about 150 yards from where Trump was speaking. Her testimony and often accusatory questions from lawmakers lasted nearly 6 hours as the lawmakers expressed frustration about her inability or refusal to answer basic questions about the attack. Quote, I don't have the timeline of how the individual assessed the roof, where they accessed the roof, or how long they were on the roof, she acknowledged at one point. How did a 20-year-old loner with a week's notice pick the absolute best location to assassinate President Trump when the entire Secret Service missed it? The director on your leadership, your agency outsmarted and outmaneuvered by a 20-year-old? How can we have any confidence that you could stop trained professionals from a nefarious nation state? End question. Those are absolutely questions that we need. And then she replied, those are absolutely questions that we need to have answered. Yeah, we do need to have those questions answered. Yeah, you're right. And if you can't answer them, then step aside. I'm sorry. This was just unacceptable. The investigation into the shooting, which was led by the FBI, also found that a significant lag time between the time he was identified as a suspicious figure at the rally and when he was able to begin the shooting. On Friday, USA Today reported that the former Secret Service officials also believed that there were significant lapses in the protocol after the shooting, when agents allowed Trump to stand and pump his fist 3 times, leaving him open to assassination by a potential second shooter. Representative Chip Roy of Texas called for the Secret Service to be defunded, saying on Fox News that the shooting raised significant doubts about the agency's ability to keep its protectees safe. Other lawmakers have questioned whether the agency did a good job by planning security for the rally, especially after it was disclosed that the local authorities said they were unable to guarantee security at the building from which the gentleman took his shots after climbing up the side. Now, this is just like an update. There's not really much to say. I'm glad she's out. This is unacceptable. There are just certain jobs where you were just raised to a higher standard. Mary Sue that works in Walmart, if she forgets to close the fridge one night, that's awful. No, that's actually kind of really big, because then you have to throw out all that meat. Actually, no, still, but no one dies. You throw out all the meat, no one dies. Someone died. This is unacceptable. And there's not much more to say other than, yeah, someone else needs to take over, and then they need to do a complete rehaul and see what happened. How did this kid outsmart all of these trained people? He's the luckiest kid on earth. If all these trained people. Anyway, there's nothing more to say really about that. hope and pray now that there's no more slip ups. And I'm sure this has been weighing on all of his family and friends and of the gentleman who actually did pass away. Oh, every time I see anything about it, it just like makes me cry. But how I will say, like, how beautiful he was protecting his wife and children. Oh, I'm gonna cry. So I'm not gonna talk about it anymore. But yeah, this was unacceptable, and let's have the FBI keep investigating to see like what, like, we need answers. Like, if I think this was a very valid question. How can we have confidence that you could stop trained professionals from a nefarious nation state? How? Okay. Next thing that happened last weekend. Biden's out, Kamala's in. Biden dropped out, and that was crazy. I got the notification first, told everyone in my life, told my family. My mom was out of the country, and I like messaged her out, and she thought like I had some sort of big insight because they weren't notified or they didn't find out until later. And that was pretty cool. To be the first to tell people, like, it really made me feel like made me feel good. Okay, that's how it felt. But there was like that TikTok where it's like how it felt to tell my whole family. Like, it was a TikTok of like Paul Revere, and then that American Eagle sound. And that's how it felt. It felt great. My dad was like, "What? That's not true." And I'm like, "I'm telling you, it is." Anyway, he's dropped out, and then notably in his statement, he didn't mention anything about endorsing Kamala. So I thought, oh, he's not endorsing Kamala. Like, this is crazy. And then the Clintons together endorsed Kamala, and then he came out and endorsed Kamala. So that's been interesting. Biden out, Kamala in. What exactly does this mean? So I'm going to link this ABC News article that kind of explains a little bit. And then I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions. So there's no precedent for this in modern times. And the biggest question is like, how does this happen? So campaign funds have been transferred to her through the primary elections. Biden won the pledged support of the majority delegates. Before he dropped out, 3,886 delegates had pledged to support Biden to become the nominee. Nearly all of 3,949 possible pledged delegates. These are delegates who say they will back Harris weren't elected to do so through a primary election. They are free to vote for whomever they choose, even if they've informally pledged to support Harris. The DNC, like I mentioned, is August 19th. And now, so one thing that people are pointing out is the Democrats really didn't have a chance to vote for their president. The primaries are over. So I think that, like, so first of all, I don't think this was planned. I know this was the plan all along. No, I really don't think this was planned all along. I think, because, like, if this was planned all along, to me, it would make more sense for them to have done a primary. Because even if Kamala Harris was running for president, because she was vice president, no one running again, it'd be a similar outcome. So I don't think this was planned all along. I think he was really being stubborn. He did not want to leave. But then it was just kind of one of those things where it's like after the shooting, before the shooting, I think he had a fighting chance. After the shooting, there was no fighting chance. Like, I mean, that debate, I told you they're going to switch him out. After the episode I did about the debate, you can go back and look. I said they're going to switch him out. Because that debate was, it was atrocious. It was sad. I couldn't finish it. It was sad. I ended up finishing it, but like that night, I had to go to bed. Like, it was just sad. So, all that to say, so this is what's going to happen now. So now the delegates are pledging to vote for Harris, but when the actual DNC happens, I think they're still deciding whether they're going to do an open DNC. I don't remember if they said that they will, but what could happen is someone could be like, no, I want to do it, and the delegates there could vote for someone else that's not Harris. Now, it wouldn't make sense for them to do that right now, because if you are paying attention at all on any social media, Miss Harris is the queen of social media right now. It's Brat Summer ex coconut tree. So, yeah, like, right. So, something people pointed out, and I kind of agree with, is it's kind of like the Democrats didn't really get a chance to vote for who they would want for president because it's too late for a primary. It's too late. I mean, the primaries are over. And then now it's kind of like Kamala Harris is like the de facto. All right, we got Kamala. And it does appear, after looking at it, it does appear everybody's like on board with it. A lot of people are like, no, the Dems don't like her. No. No. Right now, everyone is on board. Now, I will say, so a couple of things I've seen. I've seen a lot of, and I'm sure you've seen it too, coconut tree, ex Brat Summer. She has all the things, all the edits, hilarious, absolutely obsessed, love. I feel weird sharing them now because I'm like, I'm not voting for her. I don't want you to think I support her policies, but this is really funny. Lots of jokes. I mean, it was funny, and it still is. If I'm being honest, it still is. And it's, I saw the Kamala like brat t-shirt. I'm like, oh, that's actually really cute. Like, if it was another person, I would probably get one. Like, I like that. A lot of the, anyway, we can discuss other things later. But, so yeah, so super cute. Love, love, love. But that's what's going on right now. So two things on that. Two thoughts on that. That's what's going on right now. And we are August, September, October, November. Less than 4 months away from the election. So that's, but, people are excited and pumped right now. And then so that's one thing. Anything can happen between now and then. And then here's the other aspect. It's Gen Z, young adults, millennials who are really into this. Maybe they don't vote. So, this energy that she has right now, July 24th, 2024, might not carry over to the polls in November. Now it could, but it might not. Now let's kind of discuss that. So right now it's Kamala versus Trump. Excited for a debate. I really am super excited for a debate. But let's discuss moving forward. Moving forward, here's a couple of things, couple thoughts I have. First, like I said, I mentioned this on the Instagram, and I'm gonna say this on the podcast. If you don't have Instagram, you didn't see this. But I did ask you guys, like, I think that so here's a reality. Here's the reality. You and I listening are probably not going to vote for Kamala Harris. I don't know who you're going to vote for. You could be voting for Trump. You could be voting for RFK, which I recently remember. Oh yeah, he's running. Don't ever see him anywhere. Wasn't a debate. Anyway, you could be voting for Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse always gets a small percentage every year. But I can guarantee that the majority of people listening are not voting for Kamala Harris because we do not agree with her policies. The reality is there are people who are not as into politics as us. There are people who are not really paying as much attention for X, Y, Z reason. At this point, it doesn't really matter why they're not paying attention. They're just not paying attention, and they just aren't really listening. So what happens now? We need to get them to understand the difference in policy and why our policy is better. We need to get them to understand that when you're voting for someone for president, you're also voting for their administration. You're voting for the Supreme Court. So you want someone whose policies align with your policies. You want someone who closely aligns. No politician is going to be perfect. No politician is going to have everything that you like. That is just reality. The only politician that has everything that I like is Mallory Finch. Just joking. I'm not a politician. But the only person who has every political belief of you is you. And maybe your spouse. I don't know. Maybe your 5-year-old kid, because they agree with everything you say. My point is, not every politician is going to have and be everything that you want them to be. That doesn't mean that you don't vote for them. It doesn't mean that you let everything slide. What it means is you look at all of the options in front of you and you make the choice that you believe you're supposed to make. And you make the choice that you believe you're supposed to make. Don't let anyone bully you into voting for X, Y, and Z. Now, where do we come in? We talk to our friends who are voting for Kamala because they feel like they're a part of something bigger. I'm just telling you some of the things I'm hearing. Like they're a part of something bigger. They feel like they have to. They feel like this is a woman. They feel hurt by some of the things that they see Republican commentators, conservatives say, because they are disappointed in how certain things turned out, because they didn't have an amazing 4 years under Trump like a lot of us might have had. One thing I keep hearing is we had such a great, but I also hear on the other side, like their life wasn't great. So, we all have different things going on. I think that when we're having conversations with people, we need to keep these things in mind. So I think it's really important for us to know policy, for us to understand this is why we think this administration is better. I think it's going to do us a disservice to, like, the JD Vance thing going around. Women, all people running this country are childless women with their cats. They're angry. Oh my, like, there's no quicker way to get women not to listen. Because here's the thing, there are women who agree with us or on our side, but they don't, like, I don't really want to hear anything else he has to say. And I'm saying that we probably agree policy-wise on a lot of things, not everything, but we probably agree policy-wise on, I don't even really want to hear his commentary now. And I'm on his side. So why would someone who isn't even really into this, who only really looks at this every 4 years, why would they want to listen to his commentary? When someone on the other side calls us names, we don't want to listen to them anymore. So this is what I'm trying. This is what I want to get everybody to think about, because I know a lot of people are very, I just want to, well, yeah, women are so dumb and stupid. Well, women are voting and they're paying their taxes. So, they're voting. So you need to suck it up and figure out, how do we get them to understand that our beliefs, our policies are better? Now, is it going to be perfect? No. Is everybody going to listen to us the first time? Maybe, maybe not. Probably not. Honestly, reality is, like, the first time you tell your friend this is better, they're probably not going to listen the first time. And you're going to have to be doing a lot of apologizing for, JD Vance said that, like, that was really rude of him. And that was a dumb statement. Laura Loomer said something like, she doesn't have any kids. Why would she care about the future? Something like that. And it's like, oh, are you not capable of caring about anyone unless you have kids? Like, does she not have, like, stepchildren that have kids? Does she not have nieces and nephews? Like, you can care about, and I had a friend point out, like, also, yeah, anyway, I'm not even gonna, I'm gonna say it. I had a friend point out, like, as Christians too, part of being a Christian is caring about things outside of yourself. So why would you make that statement? I mean, about her specifically, I don't know her religious, I'm sure this is gonna come up and I'll learn more about that. But, like, just in general, why would this be an argument to use? Because she said you shouldn't vote for anyone. So why would that, if we're, anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. But we're going to be apologizing for things like that. But we need to have policy. We need to have the different ideas of, be able to talk to our friends about, like, why a conservative administration will be better for the economy, will be better for everything else. The economy is just, like, top of mind personally. And then I asked you guys, what are topics you want me to cover? I'm going to try to get people, I want to do a whole series, and I want to try to get people to talk about these, like, professionals. And the number one was economy. I mean, almost every single person said economy, and then added something else, and something else changed. But economy, immigration, and abortion were the three things that, like, everyone was talking about. Like, or the top three that, like, everybody really wanted to know and get more information on the conservative idea for the conservative belief, and, like, how this administration would handle those things. So I am going to be working on that. That is something that is going to happen. So if you or someone you know is a professional in these topics, like, please reach out. I'm not going to have just anyone on, because let me tell you, one thing that I want this podcast to do is speak the truth in grace and in love. So if you're going to say, like I said, the Laura Loomer thing, like, she said, like, her whole point was, like, I don't even really know her whole point, but, like, if you're gonna do that type of, like, you're not gonna be on my podcast. Like, yeah, that she got tons of traction, and I'm talking about it, but, like, I don't care. Like, you're not gonna be associated with those other girls. I want someone who's gonna talk straight facts. So if you know someone like that, let me know, reach out, and I'll vet them or whatnot. So I want to use an example of what I mean with this. And I'm going to use an example. I did a little bit of research, like a quick research thing about Kamala stance on abortion. And I also want to say that it's this article that I'm going to link, and it talks about, like, Kamala Harris's stance on different topics, like different things she said, and I did some really good research. So I want to talk about abortion. So this is an example of what I mean when I say let's stick with straight facts. So on abortion, and this I'm getting from New York Times. She consistently supported abortion rights during her time in the Senate, including co-sponsoring legislation that would have banned common state-level restrictions, like requiring doctors to perform specific tests or having hospital-admitted privileges in order to provide abortion. So let's go to the bill that it's referring to. So she co-sponsored the bill, the Women's Health Protection Act of 2017. Let me tell you what this bill prohibits. This bill prohibits any government from imposing on abortion services a limitation on an abortion provider's ability to prescribe or dispense drugs or provide services via telemedicine. You need to know how far along someone is. We've talked about this numerous times on the podcast. You need to know before you can subscribe any type of pills, you need to know how far along someone is. She co-sponsored a bill that takes away, takes away the limitation that an abortion provider would have. So, in other words, she's supporting abortion providers, just anything telemedicine. You need it, we got it, you got it. And that's where we're at now, anyway. She supported that. Second thing, the bill prohibits any government from imposing on abortion services a restriction on obtaining an abortion prior to fetal viability based on a woman's reasons or perceived reasons, or that requires her to state her reasons before obtaining an abortion. Now, what does that mean? She supports a woman having an abortion no matter what. She doesn't have to say her reasons. She doesn't have to have any reason other than she just doesn't want to have this baby. Now, obviously, if someone's pro-abortion, this is not an argument to them. But there are people who are on the fence, or people who we're talking to that we can kind of, like, even discuss this a little bit more with. But here's the thing. You do want to know, like, you want them to be required to do this, because this could be a way to find out if someone is being coerced and coerced to have an abortion. This could also be a way to find out if someone is being abused or harmed. Like, these are having this conversation, making sure, like, getting the actual reason someone is having an abortion is good, because people can talk through it. And this is how you can find out if someone actually wants to have this abortion, or if they just feel as if they are at their wits' ends and they don't know what to do. And, you know, Planned Parenthood doesn't refer to pregnancy centers, but in a perfect world where abortion is illegal, you'll say, oh, I feel overwhelmed. And they'll be like, oh, here, we have a pregnancy counselor in here. Let's see how we can help you. How can we help you? And then they help you. And then, yeah, that's the perfect world. That is possible, but that's not where we're at right now. Because people like Kamala Harris are in office and they're imposing these things. So this is an example of how you talk about it. And we leave it at that. We don't have to, Laura Loomer was, like, trying to imply that something was wrong with her womb because she's had a bunch of abortions. I don't even think Kamala Harris has talked about having abortions. For all we know, she hasn't had kids because she has PCOS or something. Like, we don't know why. So anyway, so you don't have to add all that extra stuff. Just talk about straight facts. We do need the limitations so that people cannot just go out and get the abortion pill, prescribe the abortion pill, because it can actually hurt you if you get the abortion pill further along in your pregnancy. And more than anything, if you do take the abortion pill, you want someone to know. You don't want to do all of this like hidden and behind closed doors, because a lot of things can happen. It's serious. And policies and bills that she co-sponsors, that she supports, are against those things. So this is how we can talk about the topics. Abortion might not be the best one to talk about that with for someone who is not pro-life. So, but this is the example I'm using. I'm going to have someone do something similar to this about the economy. And then I think I'm going to try to have someone to talk about like money saving tips as well, just in general. And then have someone talk about immigration. A lot of people are concerned about people crossing the border and like being violent and fentanyl and things like that. Those are some of the topics that came up. So we're going to talk about that. And I also want to talk about like school choice and parental rights. I think it's really important, keeping men out of women's sports, things like that. We're going to have all those types of conversations. So let's see. Last thing, I want to wrap this up. Something that we can do better. When we hear our friends talking, like, let's not automatically shut them down. Oh, they're dumb and stupid. I see that a lot on our side, which is so crazy because like 4 years ago, people were complaining when the left did that. Now we're doing that. Let's try not to become what we hate, you know? Let's not become the villains that we despise at Libs of TikTok. Anyway, and then let's make sure that we're addressing. Okay. Last thing, and let's make sure we're just addressing the actual issues. I kind of just said that. I don't know why I have this down again. I don't know. Maybe it's that important. We have to just make sure we're addressing the issues. That is the number one thing that is going to take us over. And also listening to our friends, like when we're having real, like a quick little conversation here and there, you don't have to be so particular, but like when we're having real conversations with people, I think it's just important for us to listen and like try to get to understand like why someone feels like they think that X, Y, and Z, why do they feel that way? And then try to come up with like solutions and like, I don't know. I just think that we're in such like a high stress time. I mean, we've got to get this temperature down on politics and like how everybody's all really intense. And, I'm also talking from a place of like, a lot of my close friends are kind of like apolitical. I'm like the one they go to like when it's almost election time. Hey, give me a rundown on X, Y, and Z. So like, I don't have, well, no, that's not true. I do have a couple of lefty friends. But I will say the people I'm closest to are apolitical. And then obviously, I have my political friends. Shout out to y'all listening. And my friends that I do have that are on the left, we do talk about these things, but I've known them for so long, and we have just a different friendship where like we can have these conversations. Like I'll admit, like out in my personal life, I don't have this mean, evil person so mad and angry at me. Now I do like online and everything, but like people I know that are kind of more left leaning, like center left, are typically like kinder and like they are listening to what I have to say, and they do have different opinions, but like we always end up, I don't know, something like a big blowout. So, forgive me if it comes across as if I don't care or like I'm not sympathizing if someone has been really mean and evil to you and you want to be mean and evil to them back. Forgive me. Like I'm really, so I can admit like I'm coming from a place of like my leftist friends are not those type of people, and then my close friends are all apolitical pretty much. Yeah, apolitical pretty much. So there's that. But if you can muster it up to do that, that will be good. And if not, I will be doing that. Hopefully other people will be doing that, because, nothing's ever perfect. Not every single person is going to be, try to keep their composure, try to like be, and I'm not always going to keep my composure. Sometimes I'm probably going to come across as like mean and angry, and I don't mean to, but that could happen. Anyway, my point is just to have your heart in the right place and like to try to make sure that we are doing our part. You're not going to be perfect. We're all going to mess up eventually. That's just how human nature is. And we get passionate about things. So it's not going to be perfect the whole way through. But my heart and my goal is for us to try to make sure that we are being truthful. No matter what, we have to tell the truth, because the truth is the standard. That's where everything is going to align in. And we can speak the truth in grace and in love. And we just talk about facts. We don't have to add in other people's personal things. So yeah, that's the episode in unprecedented times. That's probably going to be the title, something like that. If you have any questions, like let me know. If you any question, I guess if you have any questions, let me know. Any other topics, please comment on Spotify, on YouTube, wherever you're listening. Comment. Let me know any other topics you want me to try to find someone to cover. If you can talk about it because you are a professional, or if you know someone's a professional, please reach out to me. Those are the girls at gmail.com. Those are the girls podcast. Let's do this. Like, let's show that conservative values are good values. They're not bad values. Conservative values can help us be a better country. Let's do that. All right. Thank you guys. I hope you have a great, share this. Make sure you share this. Like, rate, review, subscribe, all that stuff. And have a good day, night, evening, however, wherever you're listening.